discover the amazing twist, but awoke on his incredible wedding day. As Sarah pressed the warm coffee mug against her lips, the aroma swirled around her like the comfort of the small town of Maple Grove. She had just finished her shift, but an unfamiliar unease settled in her chest. Jake's wedding loomed like a storm cloud. Would this moment shatter the promise of the life she was beginning to envision with him? She could still hear his voice echoing in her mind. "I never thought I'd make it this far." The words had been a lifeline for them both. Yet here she was, caught in a whirlwind, torn between the responsibilities pulling her back to Minnesota and the dreams flourishing with Jake. Her heart raced at the thought. Each patient she had saved, every encounter she cherished had been magical, but right now her own heart felt like it was dying. She had become a lighthouse guiding Jake through the waves of despair, but now the sea of obligation threatened to pull her away from him. The guilt consumed her as she wondered if leaving would unravel everything they had built. Was she a coward for wanting to run home, or was it simply loyalty? She hesitated in the diner booth, forcing herself to breathe steadily. But memories of her mother's declining health plagued her mind like a relentless drumbeat. What if she needs me? Every sleepless night spent building up her mother's health had made Sarah resilient, but the sacrifice seemed insurmountable now. The love and compassion she had always given to others felt like ice between her and her own desires. Uncertainty gnawed at her. She weakened at the thought of losing everything, including Jake. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The atmosphere felt heavier when she returned home, with the wedding bells chiming in her mind like a haunting melody. As the air thickened on the eve of the wedding, darkness loomed over uncertainties brewing between her and Jake. What was she truly committed to? Moments replayed in her mind, the laughter they shared, the dreams they whispered, and yet the nagging fear of her family's pull was relentless. What if they didn't understand? What if she was merely stuck in a cycle like Jake was once? Jake was counting on her, yet every heartbeat ached with doubt. Would he understand why she had to take this pause? Or was this it, the breaking point that would push them apart despite their newfound love? As she wandered the streets, the tension built, feeling the walls close in. The vibrant world of Maple Grove teemed with life, but she felt like a ghost, hanging on the precipice of a decision that could alter everything. But as she caught sight of the auto shop, a familiar image flashed in her mind, a face she'd grown to adore, filled with hope. Would he still need her to continue walking this path together? Or was she destined to falter and watch as the man who'd begun to reshape his life moved on without her? Would their vows survive the unfolding of the truth? The wedding bells echoed further into the horizon, and with that question, uncertainty hung more palpably than ever, leaving Sarah standing at the edge of her own future. Inside her quiet home, Sarah's thoughts spiraled as she paced the living room. The ticking clock felt like a countdown, each second echoing the weight of her indecision. What was she really afraid of? It wasn't just her mother's health that held her back, but the haunting thought of losing Jake to a past she thought they had both moved beyond. She remembered moments that felt like forever, nights spent dreaming about their future, shared glances filled with unspoken promises. But now, those memories felt tainted with doubt. The more she thought about her mother, the more the guilt suffocated her. What kind of daughter would she be if she turned her back when her mother needed her the most? Yet leaving would mean relinquishing a part of herself. the love and passion she began to discover with Jake. With an impulsive surge, Sarah grabbed her phone. The screen lit up her anxious face and scrolled through their messages. Tantalizing fragments danced on the screen, reminding her of their deep connection. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Should she reach out to him? Time pressed on, each tick pushing her toward a decision she feared making alone. A decision that would certainly define her future. As she typed, the warmth of her uncertainty crackled in the air. "Jake, can we talk?" The message sent like a shot in the dark, and she felt both relief and terror wash over her. This wasn't just a simple conversation. It was a confrontation with everything she had avoided. Her feelings, her fears, her dreams. While waiting for a reply, she plunged into the depths of her past. With each recollection, she saw how far she'd come. The young nurse who took comfort in caring for others had transformed into a woman passionate about her own life. But staying in Maple Grove felt like living in a shadow of who she was becoming. The deeper she dived into those memories, the more she embraced her own capacity for change and resilience. Moments later, her phone pinged, a message from Jake. Of course, when? Relief washed over her, but was quickly replaced with anxiety. How could she articulate the storm brewing in her heart? She took a deep breath, steeling herself. She needed to express not only the concerns of her mind, but the commotion of her heart as well. This was a moment for truth, a truth that could either bind them closer or drive them apart. As she prepared for their meeting, she grasped the duality of her existence. She was Sarah, the caretaker, molded by her mother's struggles, and Sarah, the dreamer, yearning for a life filled with love and ambition. Could she articulate this tension? Would she find the strength to convey to Jake that her commitment to him existed alongside her familial responsibilities? Walking to their meeting place, every step felt like an act of defiance against her fear. With each heartbeat, determination surged within her. She came to recognize that change was essential, whether that change meant stepping into a new version of herself with Jake or stepping back to support her family. Finally, she stood at the entrance of the cafe. There he was, leaning against the wooden frame, the sunlight highlighting his features in a way that took her breath away. In that moment, Sarah realized this very meeting could shift the course of both their lives. The moment had arrived to confront her fears and desires, to unpack her heart and lay it bare. Her future depended on this truth. But what if the words escaped her, tangled in doubt and fear? Would she risk everything for a chance at happiness? The air buzzed with anticipation, and as she stepped inside, clarity began to dawn. What path would she choose when the truth finally emerged? Jake looked up expectantly as she approached. The nervous flutter in Sarah's stomach transformed into a surge of determination. The familiar warmth of his gaze held promises of support and shared dreams. Today, though, she knew she couldn't succumb to unspoken words. She had to voice her truth before anyone else claimed it. She slid into the seat opposite him, their surroundings bustling with life, yet she felt isolated in her internal turmoil. The cafe buzzed with muted conversations and the rich aroma of brewing coffee, but her heart pounded thunderously in her chest. She could almost hear her own thoughts echoing, urging her to be bold, to confront the collisions between love and responsibility that had filled her mind for weeks. "Hey, Sarah," Jake said, his smile bright but cautious. "I'm glad you reached out." "Thanks for coming," she replied, steeling herself. "I wanted to talk about everything, about us." His expression grew serious, the lightness in his eyes replaced with focus. "I've been wondering about that too. I thought maybe we were off track?" She felt an inexplicable urge to defend their connection. "No, it's just that How could she explain the whirlwind of conflicting emotions? Every word felt loaded with implications, carrying the weight of her mother's condition and her aspirations. "Sarah," he interjected gently, "I want to hear it. Whatever is going on. I'm here." She closed her eyes for a moment, visualizing the road ahead. Her responsibilities loomed large on one side, while the dream of a life with Jake pulled her like the tides. But which current would she allow to carry her? "I need you to understand that I've been struggling," she finally began. "Being there for my mom, it's everything to me. But it's like a part of me is fading. I've been afraid of losing myself and taking care of someone else. And I'm scared you'll leave if I go back to Maple Grove." Jake looked intently at her, his gaze unwavering. "That's a lot to carry. But you're not going to lose yourself in caring for her. If anything, I want to be someone you can lean on. I don't want to be part of what holds you back, Sarah." His words cracked through her defensive walls, and she felt vulnerability wash over her. "But what if I choose to give my mother all of my time? What if I can't balance both? The career I want or the relationship we have?" "You're not just another set of circumstances," Jake asserted, his voice steady but filled with passion. "You have to do what's right for you, not just what's expected. This isn't about your mom versus us. It's about you finding your own path." Those simple words ignited something within her. For the first time, the fog surrounding her decisions began to lift. She could feel the stirrings of possibility rather than condemnation. "But how?" she whispered, grappling with the dawning realization. Jake leaned forward, his sincerity palpable. "You can shape how you show up for both. Maybe it starts with setting boundaries, or getting support for your mom's care while pursuing your dreams. You need to reclaim some of that love you have for yourself while still being there for her." His openness inspired her. "Are you willing to take that journey with me?" Jake nodded, a gentle smile breaking through. "Together, whatever comes next, we face it together." In that moment, clarity seeped in, illuminating a path she hadn't considered before. The blend of love with familial duty felt daunting, yet exhilarating. She no longer felt alone in the decision-making process. As they exited, Sarah took a deep breath, the air filled with a new resolve. But beneath the surface of her growing confidence lay the nagging thought of her looming responsibilities back home. Could she truly prioritize both her passions and her family without drowning in the weight of it all? And what would happen when she had to confront her mother? Could she trust that her relationship with Jake wouldn't fracture, even as her choices began to shift? The uncertainties lingered, but Sarah was ready to explore them all, knowing that moving forward required bravery unlike any she had ever known. As they walked toward the sunset, a sense of profound anticipation wrapped around her, signifying that the coming days would not just bring challenges, but revelations long overdue. In that atmosphere thick with promise, she realized she had to prepare herself for an even greater confrontation, the one with her own identity as both a daughter and an independent woman. What revelation awaited her with this new role? From within this uncertainty, one question surfaced. Could she redefine who she was meant to be without losing the essence of her heart? As the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky in vivid hues of orange and purple, Sarah felt a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation. The weight of the revelations brought forth during her conversation with Jake hung heavily in her mind. She wasn't merely beginning to navigate her feelings for him, she was also uncovering the fractures in her own identity. Each step she took felt deliberate yet unsteady, as if she were walking a tightrope stretched high above her past, with uncertainty swaying the lines of her future. Arriving back at her apartment, a small, warm space cluttered with remnants of her life, books piled high, knickknacks from her travels and photographs, she was enveloped by a familiar comfort. Yet each item felt like a tether, holding her to the past she was eager to evolve from. Sarah sank onto her couch, the worn fabric embracing her as she closed her eyes. In the stillness, her mind raced. The conversation with Jake echoed relentlessly. Could she truly find balance? Self-doubt began to creep in, whispering convincing narratives of failure, threatening to drown her newfound determination. What if she couldn't juggle her responsibilities? What if her mother needed her more than ever at a time when she was learning to carve out her own path? What she needed was a plan, a concrete vision of how she could accommodate her own aspirations alongside her familial duties. A mental strategy began to take shape as she breathed deeply, centering her thoughts. She envisioned setting clear boundaries to allocate time for both her mother's needs and for herself. The concept of boundaries had always felt selfish, but Jake's words redefined it. It didn't mean abandoning her mother, but rather establishing a framework that honored her own dreams. What if she reached out for help? Finding someone to assist with her mother's care could free up time for her career pursuits and her relationship with Jake to flourish. Filled with a growing sense of resolve, she picked up her phone. A contact she hadn't reached out to in years came to mind: Emily, her close friend from college who had a background in nursing. They had often talked about the challenges of familial care. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath and dialed. After a few rings, Emily's voice flooded her with relief. "Sarah, it's been a while. How are you?" "I'm navigating a lot right now," Sarah admitted, her voice steady, laying the groundwork for vulnerability. "My mom's health is declining, and I could use some advice on care options." "Of course, I can help. I've worked in home care for some time now. Let's meet tomorrow," Emily replied with enthusiasm. Gratitude surged through Sarah as she hung up the phone. Maybe this wasn't just about dividing her love and devotion. Maybe it was about multiplying them through collaboration. This realization ignited something within her. Perhaps the essence of who she was supposed to be was not only rooted in her identity as a daughter, but as someone capable of leading her own life by reaching out for support. With renewed energy, Sarah began drafting a plan for the upcoming weeks. It wouldn't be easy, but the idea of being active in her life rather than reactive filled her with a sense of empowerment. She would develop a schedule that celebrated her aspirations while still honoring her family commitments. The morning air felt crisper as she stepped outside the next day, ready to face the world with a purpose. Yet lingering questions remained, each cloaked in personal uncertainty. How would her mother react when she introduced this new structure? Would they clash, or would they find a way to communicate and relate anew? As she approached Emily's cafe, the thought of confronting her mother loomed larger than before, tied intricately to how her own sense of self would be validated in this evolving narrative. Emerging from the warmth of her planning, Sarah realized the true test lay ahead. Could she reclaim her identity while still being an anchor for her mother? With every stride toward confrontation, she understood the stakes had transformed. This wasn't merely about support. It was about building a bridge to a future where she became the architect of her life. Now the tension pulsed beneath the surface, ready to break free in the inevitable moment of truth. She would have to open the dialogue with her mother soon, casting a net that bridged their relationship and her personal growth. Just as those thoughts settled in, a voice called out from across the street, Jake's familiar tone slicing through her contemplation. As he emerged into view, his smile gave her strength, yet the gravity of her choices suddenly felt magnified. The moment had come to face her dual roles head-on. Would embracing her new identity deepen their bond, or put it at risk? Sarah's heart raced as she prepared to uncover the answer. As Sarah approached Jake, the warmth of his smile clashed with the brewing storm inside her. The uncertainty of the past few days pressed heavily against her chest. Yet amid the knots of anxiety, a flicker of determination ignited. She greeted him with a tentative wave, her pulse racing as they fell into step side by side. "Hey," Jake said brightly, "you look like you're ready to take on the world." His optimism was infectious, momentarily blurring the edges of her fear. "I'm trying to be," she replied, forcing a casual tone. Yet internally, she wrestled with thoughts of the pivotal conversation she needed to have with her mother. The air surrounding them felt electric, thick with the unsaid and the possible. As they strolled, they fell into easy conversation, discussing everything from trivial daily happenings to deeper philosophies about life. Jake's presence was grounding, but it also heightened her awareness of the conversations she had to initiate back at home. She couldn't keep postponing her plans. The longer she waited, the more daunting the inevitable confrontation loomed. "Are you busy this weekend?" Jake asked, casually running his fingers through his hair, sending a jolt of admiration coursing through Sarah. "There's this cool art exhibit opening downtown. I thought it might be fun to check it out together." The thought of a carefree outing, free from responsibilities, tempted her, yet the shadow of her obligations loomed larger. "I have to spend some time with my mom," she said, her heart pulling in two directions. His expression shifted slightly, an understanding glimmering in his eyes. "I get it, family first, right?" "Yes, but I want to make time for both of us." The truth of her dual desires spilled out before she could process it. "Since we talked, I've realized how much I want to pursue my own dreams while still being there for her." Jake nodded, encouraging her with his gaze. "I admire that, Sarah. You're being proactive about it. That's not easy." She felt a swell of determination at his praise, yet just like that, a tidal wave of doubt crashed over her. Was she putting too much responsibility on herself? Would insisting on her autonomy push her mother further from her? After parting from Jake, she returned home, her pulse quickening as she entered the familiar space. The clutter that once comforted now felt oppressive, reminding her of the two contrasting lives she was striving to integrate. As the sun descended, casting long shadows through her apartment, she felt isolated in her internal battles. With her heart thudding in her chest, Sarah approached the small living room where her mother sat, eyes lost in thought as she flipped through an old photo album. The familiar ache of love and responsibility gripped her tightly. "What do you think about us trying something different?" Sarah ventured, her voice wavering slightly. The vulnerability drenched the air, but it was essential. Her mother looked up, brow furrowing in confusion. "Different how?" "It's about how we manage things. I want to be more present for you, but I also need to create space for my own goals." Sarah's heart raced as she felt the heaviness of her proposition crashing down between them. "I've always counted on you, Sarah," her mother replied. A hint of defensiveness underlined her tone. "You're my rock." "Exactly," she pressed gently. "That's why I need to branch out a little and find support outside of us. I want us to grow together rather than be pulled in different directions." The silence hung heavily in the air. Sarah swallowed hard, regretting every syllable of her plea as the seconds crawled by. Uncertainty flickered between them like a distant flame, threatening to extinguish their connection. Would her mother resist this change or embrace it as an opportunity for both of them? As her mother's expression shifted, Sarah could feel the stakes rising. This was no longer just a conversation, it was a pivotal moment that could redefine everything. Then her mother spoke, igniting a ripple of tension that crackled in the air. "So, you're saying you want help?" The question shifted the atmosphere, and as the reality of her proposition sat heavily in the space between them, Sarah realized the implications of her own ambition. Would the bridge she sought to build strengthen their bond, or would it expose cracks she'd long ignored? Caught in this delicate balance of hope and fear, she steeled herself for her mother's response. The air lingered thick with unsaid words as Sarah watched her mother's expression harden, transforming into something unfamiliar. The defensive walls that had silently built up over the years surged to life. "What do you need help with?" her mother pressed, her tone sharp. Sarah's heart quickened. This was the moment of truth, and her stomach twisted with anxiety. Every instinct screamed at her to retreat, to slip back into the predictable comfort of her old role. But no, she pressed on. "It's not just about needing help with chores or errands, Mom. I need to diversify my life. I want to pursue my painting, get back into community art classes, and maybe even participate in shows. I can't do that when I'm always taking care of everything at home." The silence that followed was deafening. Her mother's brow knitted tighter, eyes narrowing as if processing the world's weight. "So, you want to abandon me? To follow some dream?" The pain in her mother's voice cut through Sarah like a blade, but she steadied herself. This was a miscommunication, a misunderstanding that could spiral into something unrecoverable. "No, that's not what I'm saying at all." Sarah felt the urgency of her words vibrate in the air. "I want to bring more joy into my life so that I can share it with you. If I keep pushing down my passions, I will only become resentful and tired. I want to be genuinely there for you, not just physically. I want us to enjoy our time together." Her mother's shoulders relaxed slightly, but defensiveness lingered. "You've always been there for me. What if I need you now more than ever?" A wave of guilt washed over Sarah. Did her mother think her indecision was built on the idea of letting her down? "I understand that, but I believe we can establish new patterns. Maybe we can find someone who can help, or adopt new routines. This doesn't have to tear us apart, it can bring us closer." The confrontation carried a weight that swayed between misgivings and a glimmer of hope. Sarah's heart raced not just from anxiety, but from the urge to break this cycle. She felt herself rising to the moment, demanding ownership of her dreams and responsibilities. They had overlooked each other's needs for too long, and it was time to change the narrative. "I'm asking for a partnership, not a separation. I want to grow with you, but I need to do it in a way where both of us can flourish." As her mother studied her, uncertainty clouded her face, and a flicker of something akin to fear danced in her eyes. "You think you can manage if I let you go a little?" "Yes," Sarah whispered, the honesty in her voice trembling with the insight gained from her recent conversations and experiences. "Trust me, like I trust you. We can redefine what family means." A moment of contemplation hung before her mother's gaze softened ever so slightly. "So you believe there's a way to make this work?" "I do. We're not meant to be dependent on each other. We should be complements. If I can step back a bit, I can return with more energy. We can create a better life together." The air lightened, though tension remained palpable. For the first time in ages, Sarah felt the possibility of collaboration blossoming as her mother's own apprehensions began to surface. Doubt flickered in her mother's eyes, revealing cracks in their long-standing dynamic. Just as hope began to take root, her mother shook her head slightly, as if rejecting the budding connection. "What if I can't handle this change?" The vulnerability in her mother's admission struck a chord deep within Sarah, creating a ripple of both empathy and frustration. The stakes of their conversation deepened, and it dawned on her how intertwined their paths had become in ways she had yet to fully grasp. Caught between the urge to pull back and the desire to push forward, Sarah's mind raced as new thoughts cascaded through her. Would her mother ever see the potential in her willingness to grow? Would they be able to navigate this journey together without tearing apart the fabric of their relationship? As the silence settled, Sarah felt a decisive clarity creeping in. The journey ahead would not be easy, but it was one she was resolutely prepared for. "Whatever happens, I'm doing this because I love you, and I want me in your life and you in mine," Just differently. And with that declaration hanging in the air, Sarah realized their conversation was far from finished. It was merely the first step into a long road of discovery, demanding changes that neither of them might be ready for. But what new dynamics would emerge? What fears were still waiting to be unmasked? As both women sat in a charged silence, the potential for transformation now loomed before them, hanging on the precipice of change. The path they would choose next remained shrouded in uncertainty, yet laden with promise. A fragile hope mixed with uncertainty filled the space between them as Sarah maintained eye contact with her mother. The moment felt monumental, a pivot point promising transformation, yet cloaked in hesitation. Yet, her mother's fierce gaze reminded Sarah of the years built around obligation and care. "Let's not brush this aside," Sarah urged softly, desperation battling her calm facade. "We need to really talk about what this change means for both of us." Her mother crossed her arms tightly, a defensive barrier. "It's scary to think of you carving out a new life. What if you fail?" The words came out like a stab. They held an unspoken fear of abandonment that echoed through their years together. "Failure doesn't scare me as much as staying stuck does, Mom," Sarah replied, her voice steady yet laden with uncharted emotional territory. "I would rather take a risk and see where this leads than to look back years from now filled with regret over not even trying." Watching her mother grapple with acceptance was an exercise in patience and vulnerability. Each flicker of emotion on her mother's face, fear, anger, confusion, was a reflection of Sarah's own doubts. What would thrive and what would wither if they ventured down this evolving path? The possibilities sparked an unfamiliar energy within Sarah. As if emerging from a long slumber, she felt a deep-seated fire igniting her passion. The desire to paint surged within her, colors spilling across her mental canvas. But it would require breaking the unyielding patterns that had bound them. "Let's start small then," Sarah suggested, imagining stepping stones rather than cliffs. "What if I commit to one class a week, something that takes me out of our routine without overwhelming either of us?" The suggestion hung in the air, laden with possibility. "One class?" her mother scrutinized, weighing the proposition. "And what of your responsibilities here?" "I promise, it won't interfere. I'll make it work," Sarah insisted, determined to dispel the lingering shadows of mistrust. "The goal is to feel fulfilled enough to share who I am with you, not to abandon my duties, but to enhance our lives." As the silence enveloped them again, Sarah felt a pulse of realization grow stronger. This conversation was not just about her dreams. It was about reclaiming their relationship as well. They risked the tenuous thread of connection that had time-stamped the passage of their lives together. And by each one taking their first steps into imperfection, they might fortify their bond anew. "What about next week?" she pressed, navigating the waters of her mother's doubts. "A community class at the local art center. You could come with me. We could make it a day." Her mother's response was slow, a careful tracing of feelings that had taught her caution. But glimmers of something more hopeful flickered in her eyes. A tentative nod, barely perceptible, shared the acknowledgement of a shift. It was a slim opening, but Sarah seized it. "Afterwards, we can grab lunch, just us," Sarah added, a genuine smile gracing her features. An old tradition redefined. The prospect uncoiled a string of laughter from her mother, a sound faint yet cherished, hinting at a bond previously dulled by the weight of responsibility and routine. As they both immersed in the vision of a different tomorrow, Sarah began to understand how entwined their growth would be. This was a process. They were on the brink of co-creating a dynamic that encompassed both their dreams. But she realized, too, that taking this leap forward brought with it the specter of what would need unwavering honesty to truly thrive. Amid the tendrils of hope danced thorns of her past insecurities, and Sarah questioned how ready she felt to confront the deeper implications of pursuing her art. The idea of failure was still present, lurking in the corner of her mind. Would she be able to withstand her mother's doubts, her own intrinsic fears, while diving into this pursuit? The path seemed clearer, yet reflected the many shadows still lurking. Each moment supported a truth. Redefining their connection while nurturing her individuality would not be a single conversation, but a series of them. She resolved to stay vigilant and articulate, steering their shared narrative towards a nourishing ebb and flow. But as the wary optimism began settling in, Sarah couldn't silence the growing tension inside her. What if the very act of pursuing her passion also unearthed buried fears within herself that she had yet to face? The anticipation built, and with crashing waves of uncertainty in the back of her mind, Sarah looked forward to the very first step. She would seize this opportunity or risk losing not only herself but the bond she held dear. "Next week we'll see where this takes us," Sarah said, trying to mask the turmoil brewing. In her heart, however, she braced herself, needing to remain open to the wild unknown, where transformation awaited, but so did the chance to stumble. What new revelations about herself would emerge once she stepped into the world without the safety net she had woven for years? As the clock ticked softly, Sarah knew the incoming week posed the ultimate question. Was she ready to confront whatever lay beneath her longing to create? The days leading up to her first class lingered, with each tick of the clock amplifying Sarah's anticipation and anxiety. She devoted evenings to envisioning her new reality, sketching ideas for her art while wrestling with questions that blurred her focus. Each brushstroke in her mind carried a weight that mirrored her emotional state, a blend of creativity and fear poised on the threshold of uncertainty. As she prepared for that daunting first step into the art center, Sarah's pulse quickened. What if she wasn't good enough? What if her mother's lingering doubts resurfaced as she stepped further into her new identity? In those moments of self-reflection, she fought hard against the creeping thoughts that threatened to anchor her back in the past. It was through facing these fears that her true journey began, a collision of self-discovery and artistic aspiration that promised to reshape everything she held dear. Arriving at the art center the following Tuesday felt surreal. The building, bathed in sunlit warmth, seemed to breathe life into her dormant dreams. With trembling hands, she clutched the strap of her canvas bag, various supplies rattling gently within. The notion of community hung in the air, a network of souls dedicated to expression. She longed to be part of that world, yet doubt whispered reminders of the security she once knew. At the entrance, she hesitated, facing a collection of paintings that adorned the walls. Each vivid splash of color carried stories of resilience and imagination, beckoning her to dive into their depths, to let her spirit intertwine with the canvas. Slowly, Sarah made her way inside, heart racing as excitement collided with trepidation. Settle, engage, create. The instructor's words rang clear, guiding her through the initial exercises. Yet Sarah found herself struggling with the simplicity of brush movements that seemed so free for others. A whirlwind of thoughts darted through her mind. She had always felt that art lurked within her, yet what if it was merely an illusion? Each stroke she attempted was met with a critical inner voice that hammered her confidence down. The very act of painting became a battleground, a struggle between creation and self-doubt. And then there was the slap of realization. Failure was upon her, lurking like an unwelcome shadow. The instructor noticed her faltering moment, pausing alongside her. "What are you thinking?" she asked gently, her tone inviting reflection rather than criticism. Sarah swallowed hard, weighing the option of transparency against the tide of shame. "I feel lost," she admitted, loosening the burden of expectation that clung to her. "I'm afraid this isn't what I'm meant to do." A knowing smile spread across the instructor's face, brightening her features in a way that felt like reassurance. "And that's why you are here, to discover, to unearth creativity layer by layer. It's not about perfection, it's about exploration." As the words settled in, Sarah felt a thaw, allowing them to sink deep within her. Art isn't flawless. It reflects emotions, struggles, and raw truth. In that classroom, she learned it was perfectly permissible to grapple with imperfection. It became clear acceptance of her own shortcomings would be essential in this journey, not just as an artist, but as a person confronting her own narrative. With every brushstroke over the canvas now came a newfound freedom, a way to express the chaos within her. She poured all those unfiltered feelings into her work, the joy, the fears, and the vulnerability of embarking on a new chapter. Each painting emerged as a unique connection, infused with self-compassion, a stark contrast to the self-judgment that often paralyzed her. The session wound down with a collective acknowledgement of their experiences, their vulnerabilities woven into the vibrant array of artwork displayed around them. Sarah felt invigorated, igniting a flicker of inspiration that glowed brighter with each passing moment. Perhaps this was a vital component of her transformation, learning not just the skills to paint, but also to nurture the emotional landscape within. As she stepped outside, the fresh air embraced her enthusiastically, and Sarah's heart surged with the realization that she had entered her first stage of growth. Before her unfolded not just the season of artistic awakening, but an invitation to assess the journey yet unborn. Her relationship with her mother and her own self-worth now took center stage in this emerging narrative. The time had come not merely to create art, but to challenge those fears that had loomed large over her life. But as she thought of her mother and their next lunch together, the full impact of what lay ahead began to settle in. Would she have the strength to share her vulnerable creations with the one person whose approval she craved? This wasn't just about painting on canvas, it was about shedding layers of fear and embracing the beauty of authenticity. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah recognized the dawning of a tumultuous truth. Transforming her life meant confronting the emotional brushstrokes of both her art and her relationships. What if the very act of exploring her newfound passion led to confrontation with the expectations she had set for herself? The blending of colors on her canvas now mirrored the complexity of her life, two worlds that must converge in ways yet unknown. Would she find a way to strike that delicate balance, or would she risk sacrificing connections that mattered most? The following week, Sarah stood at the canvas again, the studio's cool air imbuing her with a fresh perspective. Each color tube she unwrapped felt like a promise of transformation. She was no longer merely attempting to paint, she was reclaiming parts of herself she had long neglected. Yet, threading her creativity through the fears of rejection was a challenge that loomed larger than anticipated. With each session, Sarah wrestled with the obsessive thoughts that spooled through her mind like a frayed thread. What if she failed in front of her peers? What if her work, honest as it was not good enough to earn validation from her mother? These doubts pricked at her resolve, threatening to undo her progress. That Saturday, the warm light leaked through the windows, casting a sunlit glow across her canvas. Inspired by the instructor's guidance, she sought to embody her true feelings through abstraction, an exhibition of vulnerability rather than technical prowess. However, as colors smeared onto the fabric of her canvas, a voice intruded upon her thoughts. What if this isn't right? Frustration lit within her, a sudden outburst against expectations both internal and external. Sarah paused, her brush hovering above the canvas, torn between the urge to push past these self-imposed barriers and the fear of vulnerability that gripped her. The instructor noticed her hesitation, walking over as she often did when she sensed a student wrestling with deeper issues. "Tell me what you see," she prompted gently, her presence a calming anchor amidst Sarah's storm of thoughts. "I don't know," Sarah admitted at last, her voice a whisper. "I guess I want to show something powerful, but I'm afraid of what it says about me. What if they don't like it?" "That's the crux of artistry," the instructor replied, her eyes gleaming with empathy. "It's your voice. They may not understand you, but the intent matters. What do you wish to say?" The weight of the question settled heavily within her, triggering a revelation that spun her thoughts into a new direction. This wasn't merely about others' perceptions, it was about revealing herself, unfiltered. The interplay of colors on her canvas began to symbolize her journey, failure, and growth, beyond skill, an exploration of self. Each imperfect stroke now represented a step toward freedom. With renewed resolve, Sarah ventured deeper into abstraction, letting the emotions seep through her hands. Painting transformed from an obligation into catharsis. As minutes passed, she surrendered fully, devoid of the need for approval. What began as erratic daubs morphed into symphonic blends, a dance between shadows and light, articulating feelings words often couldn't grasp. But the exhilaration of this breakthrough was short-lived. After the afternoon session, as she packed her tools, reality pressed against her, her upcoming lunch with her mother. Would she dare bring her work? The thought sent shivers through her body, igniting another wave of self-doubt. Carrying her recent creation, the chaotic amalgamation of color and emotion felt like strapping a weight to her chest. She envisioned her mother's reaction, the tight-lipped stare, the thin veneer of politeness glossing over the disappointment. The fear of facing that echo of doubt paralyzed her. But beyond that fear, Sarah discerned an opportunity for growth, a potential catalyst for change. The warm sunshine of that day had transformed into an ominous cloud, mirroring the chaos within. As she peered into the reflections of her emotions, a new realization dawned. This was not just about fear of her mother's judgment, it was about courage. The fear that seemed to bind her could also serve as fuel for authenticity. Would she dare to lay her raw, unfiltered self bare? The pull between the sanctuary of her creativity and the looming confrontation with her past was undeniable. As she walked toward the exit, her heart raced, not just with fear, but with a flicker of hope, the tantalizing hint of liberation. What would it mean to share the truths of her artistic journey with her mother? The potential for acceptance hovered enticingly on the horizon. Yet there loomed a deeper question. Was she ready to shake the very foundations upon which their relationship rested? Sarah exhaled slowly, the weight of her artistic exploits intertwining with the uncertain ties of their connection. The impending lunch was not merely an encounter, it was a crossroads, poised to redefine what it meant to be truly vulnerable. As she stepped out into the unsettling world beyond, she felt an electric charge coursing through her. This was her moment. Would this lunch ignite potential discussions of deeper truths, or would it spotlight the painful divides between them? The answer remained to be seen, gathered in the curls of the wind that tugged at her sleeves. As Sarah entered the cozy cafe, self-doubt and anticipation coalesced into a cocktail of anxiety. The familiar scent of brewed coffee hung in the air, mingling with a sense of hope she hadn't felt in years. She spotted her mother already seated at a corner table, flipping through another photo album, their shared history captured in images of a life intertwined with love, struggle, and sacrifice. "Hey, Mom," Sarah greeted, her voice steadier than she felt. "Hi, sweetheart," her mother smiled, though concern flickered in her eyes as they filled predominantly with questions unasked. "You seem different. Are you all right?" "I'm well. Actually, I wanted to share something important, Sarah announced, her heart hammering in her chest. As she slid into the chair opposite her mother, she resolved that it was time to intertwine her artistic journey with the reality they both navigated. The painting she'd created now lay like a promise in her bag, a tangible representation of her transformation and aspirations. "What is it?" her mother inquired, a hint of apprehension lining her voice. "I've started taking an art class," Sarah began, watching her mother's expression closely. "It's a space where I can explore myself beyond just being your daughter. I want to share that part of me with you." Her mother's brows knitted together, concern bubbling beneath the surface. "Art class? What does that even mean for us, Sarah? You'll still be my caregiver, won't you?" In that moment, Sarah recognized the first glimpse of genuine fear, a fear that echoed her own. "Mom, I still want to be there for you, but I also need to be there for myself. By pursuing my passion, I can offer more than what I feel I've been reduced to." The silence thickened, burdened by the weight of their contrasting hopes and fears. Sarah took a deep breath, bolstered by the strength she had begun to cultivate. "I brought something to show you," she said, reaching for her bag. As she unveiled the canvas, her heart thundered in her ears. The intertwining colors and abstract shapes danced in vivid disarray, contradictory yet beautifully harmonized. "Oh," her mother uttered softly, eyes widening as she took in the chaos of emotion captured on the surface. "This is different." "Yes, it's different because I'm exploring different parts of myself," Sarah shared fervently. "I want to reclaim who I am, and this is just the beginning." "But what if?" Her mother's voice trembled. "What if you aren't successful? What if this changes everything?" "There's truth in failure, Mom," Sarah responded, her voice calm yet firm. "There's growth in exploring the unknown, and part of my evolution is to be honest about my fears too. Keeping everything bottled up is what leaves me feeling lost." Her mother met her gaze, and a flicker of understanding sparked in the depths of those familiar brown eyes. "You're sure this is what you want?" "I am," Sarah insisted, fierce determination underlining her words. "Pursuing my dreams doesn't mean I'll disappear from our lives. It means integrating all of who I am, being a daughter and an artist." A different silence enveloped them now, one punctuated by an almost tangible shift in the atmosphere. "You've always designed your life around me, dear. I can't help but wonder what I've meant to you in all of this." "You've meant everything, Mom," Sarah replied, the honesty spilling out. "But I want to invite you into this new chapter with me. I want your encouragement, and I need your trust to flourish in this new role." Tears glistened in her mother's eyes as she searched Sarah's comradely embrace of individuality. "It just scares me," she admitted, voice quaking. "I've always counted on you being right here beside me." "Mom, I will always be here. I'm asking for your support to take this journey toward my artistry," Sarah reassured her mother, feeling the sturdy bolstering of their shared journey through the challenges it inevitably posed. As lunchtime evolved from forceful tension to blossoming understanding, her mother surprised her by leaning forward, vulnerability painting her features. "Okay, let's talk about how we can make sure you still feel connected here while you do all this." The easing glow of connection enveloped them. Their discussion meandered through the logistics, through coping mechanisms that could better support both of their aspirations. As they laid the foundation for a new way of shared responsibility, Sarah felt a healing start to bridge the distance that had kept them apart. Weeks turned into months, and gradually, Sarah embraced the duality of her life with conscious intent. Her artwork flourished and evolved beyond ebbs of self-doubt. Her painted pieces now dotted the walls of local galleries, inviting others into her narrative while she found her footing beside her mother. Evenings were reserved for their painting sessions, where truth mingled freely with laughter, slowly eroding the remnants of guilt that once bound Sarah's spirit. As she began to explore the depths of her artistic identity, her mother too responded to the call of their newly established bond, attending classes with renewed curiosity. "What if we collaborated on a piece together?" her mother offered one day, eyes sparkling with intrigue as they stood in their makeshift studio filled with laughter and love, a sanctuary for both of their spirits. "Together? That's brilliant!" Sarah exclaimed, a mixture of surprise and delight illuminating her features. "It could be a representation of our journey." "Yes!" her mother beamed, feeling invigorated by the audacity of what lay before them. As they dipped brushes into shared colors, Sarah felt a surge of fulfillment wash over her. She had successfully woven her individuality into the fabric of life with her mother, creating space not just for her talents to emerge, but also for their relationship to thrive. At the end of the day, as they marveled at their collaborative creation, Sarah reflected on her remarkable journey. She had confronted her fears, redefined her ambitions, and, most importantly, proved to herself and her mother that navigating the complexity of life did not have to mean losing love along the way. Looking at the artwork that hung with pride in their shared domain, Sarah realized her heart was full, fortified by the singular strength of becoming both the architect of her own ambitions and the reaffirmation of her enduring connection as a daughter. This was her achievement, not merely in painting, but in navigating the intricate brushstrokes of life, weaving color and emotion together, a testament to honesty, vulnerability, and a courageous commitment to live boldly. This fullness flushed through her each day, and in that moment, she understood that a genuine pursuit of dreams was in itself an act of love. As she gazed into the rapture of the unfolding future, Sarah recognized that every leap forward would reveal deeper shades and layers of her truth. The profound beauty of transformation lay not in perfection, but in the journey itself, one filled with courage to change, connect, and create unmistakably authentic art alongside the rhythm of love. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that reflect transformation, perseverance, and triumph. Leave a like now. Each click fuels our reach and encourages more inspiring narratives. Comment below with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about Sarah's journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion of courage. And don't wait even one more second. Your support is vital for us to bring more incredible stories to those who need them.